Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9 Live, part of Pittsburgh Baseball Now. Jeez, it's been 3 weeks since we've done that. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Tyler. We got Jim. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
It hasn't been 3 weeks.
We just did one last week.
Well, we did the fanboys, and that wasn't really like this show.
Yeah,
that counts.
We were literally on last week.
I know we were on last week, but I don't think I had to say that. I don't know if I said that part because it was a fan. I don't know. Whatever.
I have dealt with the biggest babies in the world this entire day about this podcast. You two have whined nonstop.
You guys are the worst. You all are the worst. I'm trying to set up a show. What are we going to talk about?
What did I do?
What are we going to talk about? I don't know. I don't even get an I don't knows. Just completely ignores.
No,
say anything.
I threw out some topics.
Tyler starts talking about how much he hates his job.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Jim just starts rattling off like 38 different ideas. And they're like none of them intertwine. It's something completely different. Just goes this whole opposite direction. I got to create a graphic. I got to get the show together. And then I find out like at 8:55, right? 5 minutes before the show goes on, Jim's reaching out to people to come on, I think. Changing the show to go a whole nother direction.
Honestly, I should have reached out to our boy Mark Simon from the fielding Bible or whatever. Because that was a little bit of a stir on Pirates Twitter today. A little bit of a wrinkle.
Got reinvigorated since the season ended.
Yeah.
All I know is you two whined nonstop the last 2 hours about what we're going to talk about. And I just kept saying, just let it ride. We're good. We're good, boys.
You say we whined. You didn't participate. You didn't add anything.
I was watching you guys whine.
This is literally why I come over all of you guys. This is why we need more people. I guess the good. Let's plug it again. One more time for the very last time. This is the last call. But yes, once again, we at North Shore 9 are looking to add probably 2 more people this upcoming season. Do a lot of the post-game shows after the Pirates games, right? And as we mentioned, we'll be doing something this off season to add those 2 people. So if you are interested, again, this is last call. Reach out to us, DM myself, DM Tyler, DM Jim, whomever it is. You can email us. However you want to reach us at. Go ahead and reach us if you have interest, because I'm so sick and tired of Tyler and Jim.
I didn't do anything.
We need new blood.
All I did today was work my butt off. Just sit there and prepare for our little show tonight. And I've got you two just whining back and forth. And Jim saying, oh, I got to put pants on. And Donardo, what are we going to talk about? And then Jim, oh, why don't we just cancel? And then Donardo, oh, but what if we find a guest? And then Jim, oh, I already reached out to 4 people. I'm just sitting there laying in bed like, just wake me up 2 minutes before our show. So if you want to join, welcome to the group chat.
Also, fix your audio, Tyler.
Yeah, your mic sounds terrible.
Jeez.
Well, if
we're on before 8:59 to prep, yeah.
My mic is in.
It's better now. All right, so we're 5 minutes in. All we've heard about was Tyler complaining. So let's.
Oh dear Lord, no!
Let's get into
it. Jim.
Yeah.
How was the steak down in Texas?
It was good. I had prime rib. It was great. Right on the San Antonio Riverwalk.
It looked like you had a little compound butter on there.
A little bit of butter, side of veggies, a couple little potatoes.
So you went prime rib. Was it bone in?
No.
It did look bone in. Maybe I was wrong.
No, it was delicious though. I'm usually not. I'm more of like a fillet guy than a prime rib guy.
Oh, of course you are.
But I went prime rib. It was their specialty, and it was great.
Sounds about right.
It was good.
He's a fillet guy. Sounds about right.
Your mic still sucks, by the way.
You suck.
So let's start talking about today. The Fielding Bible Awards get announced.
Was it the Fielding
Nolan.
Bible Awards?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Silver Slugger Awards.
The Silver
the way
Slugger.
the voting happened and worked out.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Fielding was involved.
The tweet, Nolan Arenado wins for third base, right? And within the tweet, one of his highlights is that he was the second best third baseman. According to their statistic, defensive runs saved.
There's so many layers to unpack here. Just so many. I mean, the very first one is the fact that Ke'Bryan Hayes was the best defender in all of baseball. Wait, was he did he end up being the best or second?
He was the best in all of baseball.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Okay, so all of baseball, he was the best. Not even at third, all of baseball. But mind you, just at third base, he was the best defensive third baseman. Like as you talked about with defensive runs saved, many other metrics as well. So, I mean, just with that being said, amazing season by him defensively. Yeah, there you go. 24 total runs saved. Arenado 19. So, like, tremendous by Arenado, but really, it wasn't even close.
Well, and this is my thing. Like, so the explanation that I got when, Mark Simon was one of the guys who was doing it. He was like, hey, if you have any questions on the Fielding Bible Awards, feel free to ask. So my question was, why didn't the best third baseman win the award, right? And then he started saying, well, some of the voters went with the eye test. And here's my deal. Like, I'm fine. Like, if Nolan Arenado is here, let's say it's Ke'Bryan Hayes at 24 and Arenado's at 23. And, like, if you look at outs above average, Arenado's ahead of Hayes. And if you look at fielding percentage, they're, like, the same, right? If like, everything is kind of equal, then sure, go ahead and do your eye test. But, like, there isn't a single defensive category that Nolan Arenado is better than Ke'Bryan Hayes at. So there's really no need for an eye test. Like this stat that they literally, this is their stat. Like this website does this stat. And Ke'Bryan Hayes is the best defender by a landslide. It's not even close.
Yeah, to firstly say that Jim really ruined his argument by having a grammatical error in responding to Mark Simon there. He doesn't know the correct your, and your.
Thanks for pointing that out.
What a dummy.
But regardless, everything you guys say is right. Like it's the same thing as a Gold Glove. It's all going to be based on the bat. Ke'Bryan Hayes is never going to get defensive recognition outside of just the whispers of that guy's really good at third base until he's able to hit like an average major leaguer. And until then, as I think everyone knows, these awards are pretty useless.
But what's wild is
I don't know what this award is. Like,
so what's wild is like this award is invented by sabermetricians who were sick and tired of the Gold Glove Award being subjective and given to people who couldn't field and could hit. Like they created this award because of those things that you just said, Tyler. And guess what? Ke'Bryan Hayes won this award last year. Like last year, he won this award. And then this year, he actually plays a full season. And he beats Arenado by a ton. And he finishes second to him. So it's just one of those deals where, like, I mean, this isn't a big deal. This is like a made-up award. There's no hardware. Like, none of this really matters. But, like, when you're a Pirates fan and it's October 27th, this is like all you have to look forward to is like, hey, we've got this one really good defensive third baseman. And yeah, I want to see him win an award, get the recognition he deserves. So it's a little frustrating.
I mean, it is funny. Obviously, I know very little about this award, whatever the Fielding Bible is. I don't really care. But the fact that you just mentioned that it's an award done by sabermetricians to eliminate the eye test, and then they point out the eye test on why they gave it to this guy. That's where we are with sabermetrics at this point.
But and like that's literally where I'm at. If I expect for the Gold Glove, Arenado win it for all the reasons that we've talked about. The thing about this award, and yes, Jim, I also go with you. Like a lot of what I'm saying on Twitter is kind of fake outrage because I actually really don't care that much. It is what it is, and this is a fake award of the fake awards, right? It's just something to get fired up for, and I guess it's not so much that like I care that Ke'Bryan Hayes was, this was stolen from him. It's not so much that. It's just you guys are idiots. Like this, the way you came to your conclusion is dumb. And that's what it is. It's not so much that like, oh my God, I can't believe Ke'Bryan Hayes and I'm outraged because Ke'Bryan Hayes needed to win this. It's just you guys are dum-dums. Like literally what you're saying, when you go to their Twitter bio, providing accurate and trusted analytics to MLB teams, media, and fans. Their tagline is the data you need to win. Their stat is defensive run save. And the way they came to the conclusion of who the best defenseman was throwing the stats and analytics and data out the window and saying it was the eye test. So, right. So what are you doing? What's the point? How are you marketing your site when you're saying we don't trust what we're providing MLB teams, media, and fans? We're going back old school with the eye test. So Ke'Bryan Hayes literally does everything that you show and prove of why you are relevant and you need to have a podcast and a site and people give you money for to then say, don't trust this shit. You should do what we were doing in 1973.
Can I just say Jim had the ultimate response there after he had a grammatical error of that just tells me the Cardinals were on TV more than the Pirates. There's no chance they watch Ke'Bryan Hayes play third base. Zero.
No,
they definitely saw more. They definitely saw more Arenado plays than Hayes plays. Because if that's your excuse is the eye test, there was absolutely nothing that Ke'Bryan Hayes did this year to not prove with an eye test that he also deserved this.
But anyways,
yeah,
he deserved to win it based off of what this site represents.
We've given this way more time than anybody ever should, but it's worthwhile discussion just based on where we are right now. But it's just based on where we are in baseball right now.
But I will say this, it created quite a stir today. For something to create a stir on Pirates Twitter on October 27th, it got as close as one can possibly do that.
Yeah, especially whenever the original author couldn't correctly type out your.
Right.
Well, speaking of that author too, like you said, Jim, the SIS baseball group chat right now talking about these Pirates fans. That's probably what it was. Like, holy shit, these guys.
Yeah. Well, they're probably like, this is the only thing they have to look forward to.
Yeah, and I'm sure I didn't go through every tweet and all the comments, but I'm sure it was just all flow with Pirates fans. Like every other team's fans probably really don't care much.
They don't even know what the award is. Yeah, it's
right.
Look, I didn't know what the award was.
3 likes, 4 comments, 5 likes, 2 comments, and then the Arenado one, 5,000 retweets or quote tweets, 8,000 comments.
Yeah. I didn't know what the award was, and even I jumped in the mix, and then I took over it, so I kind of created a stir there. So
yeah, but
you're welcome.
Yeah, Ke'Bryan Hayes won the award last year. Like he won it last year, and now last year he beat out Arenado by 15 defensive run save. Like it was not even close. So maybe that's just what he needs to do. If he wants to win the award, he has to just remove all doubt.
And I was going to say, last year, I felt like Arenado had a down year. That was part of it. But yeah, so what you're saying, last year, Hayes had 16 defensive runs saved, wins it. This year, he had 24, does not. I'm going to go to Arenado right now. As you guys keep talking, because we can.
To be fair, Jim brought up one more good point. Last one I'll credit him for. I don't know what the hell that Moses fellow was looking at.
Moses. Yeah, that's true. What was Moses thinking? So like on the ballot, they had Moses. Moses put, what did he do?
He had Hayes like fourth.
He had Hayes fourth. He had Matt Chapman second, I think.
I believe that's correct.
Yep.
And I'm trying to go back here and look. All right, yeah, Moses. Matt Chapman second. Matt Chapman this year, defensive run saved. He had 2. 2 defensive runs saved. So Matt Chapman, he was second. And then he put Machado third. Machado this year, defensive run saved. I'm still scrolling, you guys. Still scrolling.
Or just waiting with bated breath.
Still scrolling.
Keep scrolling, Jim.
I think
the listeners love it. -3.
So he put both of those 2 above Hayes. And ultimately, that's what cost. Because, I mean, Hayes lost by 2 points. So that's ultimately what cost him. Is that.
And that's a guy that works.
Just going back to the Arenado thing. So Arenado, like you mentioned, had 19 this year. Last year he had 6. So like I know it was a down year. It was 6 last year. So you can understand it was bigger difference last year between Hayes. But Hayes still like he improved from last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh well. Shall we move on?
Sure.
We do have one question, Dave White. Which by the way, Dave, welcome back. It's been a while. So he says, has Hayes really hurt? Was Hayes really hurt all year, or is that an excuse for his poor offense? Last year it was his wrist. This year it was his back.
I guess we'll never really know. We could ask Charles Jr., but his account's suspended.
Yikes. Jim's on a tear today. Yeah, like I feel there was certainly something with him, but at the same point in time, there's something with every single MLB player by the end of the year. So I don't know how much of a factor it truly was with him, but yeah, there's the injury. We're unsure what he really is. I don't know. I think it's more of this is kind of what he is, opposed to just he's always injured and it's coming next year. I'll put this. Let me rephrase that. Like he's not going to be this bad. Like I can see improvement, but I don't think he's going to be that rookie guy that we saw. I think we're hoping to be about a league average. I mean, he was well below league average this year. I think we're hoping to be about a league average hitter.
I think this is pretty much his floor, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's kind of just an absolute mess at the plate right now. And he has been for 2 years, and there's a lot of work that has to be done with him. And I don't know what we see out of him, but at the very least, Jim brings it up all the time. He's still the most valuable player this year. He's still a 3-WAR player. It's just a very painful 3-WAR to watch.
It's like an invisible 3-WAR.
Yeah.
Like it's there, and you can see that. Like you can see him defensively and like the value that he provides there. Like that is,
but not really.
Well,
I mean, that eye test tells me it's not really there, Jim.
That's true. Some people apparently don't think it's there, but yeah, that's what's wild is even with how bad of an offensive year he had, he was still the Pirates' most valuable player.
Just imagine if he gets better at the plate.
That's all you can kind of do right now.
Yeah. Imagine 2020, but over the course of a whole year.
Or, I mean, it's not even that. It's imagine him on a decent team where he's not relied on to be so proficient at the plate.
That too. Like if Brian Hayes is your number 8 hitter, then he's great.
You live with that every day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Hell, even like 6 or 7.
Yeah, like if you're not relying on his bat, but like right now he's been a top 5 in the lineup pretty much every game, and that's just he's just not a good enough hitter to warrant that or provide value in those spots.
Yeah, but neither was Yoshi or Van Meter, and they were there too quite a bit. So
that's true.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to get into this upcoming off season?
Sure.
I mean, there's not much else information to talk about. There's not much the Pirates can do. I don't know. We could talk about the playoffs a little bit, but I've kind of been disconnected.
I'm rooting for the Phillies. That's all I'll say.
I'm a little torn on who to root for. Like at one point I hate the Phillies.
I know why Tyler is. Yeah.
And I kind of like that, like, a lot of people hate the Astros. So it's one of those, like, I'll root for the Astros just because a lot of people hate them type of deal. So I don't know. I do like this, though. And this is for NS9 bets. Justin Verlander plus 1,000 to win World Series MVP.
It's a good bet.
He's got the game 1 start, probably get game 4. And if there's a 7, he probably gets that.
Yeah. I could definitely see him going like with the Bumgarner role, where they're just going to throw the hell out of him here.
So if you're looking for an NS9 bet, that's it right there.
But I'm rooting for the Phillies.
Outside of rooting interests, I mean, who do you think is going to take it, though?
It's hard to go against the Astros at this point. I mean, they haven't lost a game yet in the postseason. They just rolled through the Yankees, just crushed them. The Mariners put up a fight, right? But lost every game. So it's tough. It's tough to go against them right now. The Phillies are hot, and when you have Nola and Wheeler like going, and Ranger Suarez now too, where like if those 3 are on, then they got a shot, but. It's tough for me to pick against the Astros right now.
I guess that's kind of where I feel. The Phillies got that underdog. We have nothing to lose, and they're hot. And Bryce Harper is playing out of his mind right now too. But yeah, like the Astros are just so good. They're so complete, and that's part of it too. Like the Astros, they just keep churning, man. Like this window, you thought that was almost closing because they lost Cole and Morton's got like all the pitching they acquired. Just still there.
Well, like you talk about the Pirates, right? And you talk about Ke'Bryan Hayes, right? I mean, he had 3 WAR. The Astros had 5 players in their lineup with 3 WAR or higher. 6 if you go down to 2, right? Pitching wise, Justin Verlander was back to his normal self. Framber Valdez is really good. All of a sudden, Christian Javier, another pretty good starting pitcher. So they're deep. They're built for the playoffs. They're built for they're just a good team.
For sure. And as Anthony says too, Alvarez the best player in the series. I mean, listen. We all know my love for Soto. I'll take no Soto slander. He's the best player in MLB. But I do understand Alvarez is out of his mind right now. And there's been the talks of Alvarez basically wants Soto or better. And I get that. This dude's amazing.
Yeah, he had a really, really good year. He's kept it up throughout the playoffs. He's been really good.
Like
and
the
then
most
even
underrated player in baseball.
Well, I don't even think that, because like you look at like Altuve too, and Altuve, I feel like everyone knows who Altuve is and they know he's good, but like Jose Altuve had an incredible season. Like this is probably his best season of his career without looking. Second best, third best. But it's his best offensive.
Which speaks more to him. I mean, he's having an amazing season. And it's his third best.
It's his best offensive season of his career. And then he actually has struggled so far in the postseason. So, if he wakes up, then watch out.
But, I mean, is it just the fact that he is, or kind of what you're alluding to earlier, too, is the Astros effect? Because he's an Astro, he's just not going to get the love because everyone wants to hate him.
Well, I think Altuve and Bregman kind of have that both.
I'm talking about Alvarez, though.
I think Alvarez is different. I think Altuve and Bregman kind of still have that stigma, like the trash can stigma attached to him, whereas Jordan was after that. And same with like Kyle Tucker was after that. Jeremy Pena, obviously a rookie. But I feel like Altuve and Bregman are always just not going to get the credit they really deserve because of that.
So why is Alvarez not talked that much about?
Because he's a DH.
So is Big Poppy.
Yeah. I think Jordan gets talked about quite a bit. I don't know.
Okay.
I think he does.
All right. What do you think, Tyler?
Go Phillies.
All right.
You guys just said a lot about a lot of things that I don't care about. Like the Astros.
There you go.
All right. Man of the words.
But the Phillies also really solid squad.
No, I love Bryce Harper.
Yeah, I like Bryce Harper too. I've always liked Bryce Harper.
I love Bryce Harper. I'm rooting for the Phillies here. The Astros, I just don't like them. It is what it is. I want to be like Jim and be able to root for them because they're that hated team right now, but I just can't. They took too many Pirates have succeeded there in Charlie Morton and Garrett Cole. That's all I needed. It's like the Yankees right now. I don't want to watch Jameson Taillon or Garrett Cole do well. I'm sorry. I don't care if they're good guys. I don't care.
Okay.
I want other people to be miserable like me.
Yeah, I'm just in it. Like I got the MLB hat on. I just want both teams to have fun.
Rob Lowe action.
It's one of the I mean, it really is one of those. I don't have like a rooting interest. I don't have a team that I favor. And I'm not like I hate the Astros at all cost thing either. It is what it is. Whatever. I think it's gonna be a fun series though. And I've definitely been on the Bryce Harper is an overrated train. I've been on that train for sure. Mm-hmm. But by all means, do I not hate the guy or dislike him? I like him too. I think he's great for baseball. But I have thought he's overrated. I keep going back to if you look at his career and Starling Marte, to be honest, they've been very similar. And
no, they aren't.
But he has definitely turned on a notch. I mean, last year, this year, well, I should say really second half of last year. And then this year, he's I feel he's getting more equally rated now.
Yeah, I think the Bryce Harper overrated / I still like him train. Like those things are not mutually exclusive. I can like him and still think he's slightly overrated.
And that's where I've been. But I'm on the train now where, you know what, he's living up to it now. It took a little bit of time. And he's still 19 years old.
Do you know what the most, if you go, you know how Baseball Reference has most similar, hitters? Yep. Do you know who Bryce Harper's most similar is up to this point of his career?
Who?
Guess.
Starling Marte.
Barry Bonds.
I was gonna guess Barry Bonds.
Jeez.
Granted, that's because
don't give me this. He's over. Don't give me this overrated stuff. Like he's up to this point of his career, he's been Barry Bonds.
No, Barry Bonds came up at 22. Bryce Harper's up at 19, so he's got an extra 4 years.
I'm telling
look at it year to year.
Cool, Jim. But the thing is, this is I will die on this train. When you take out his best season, that 9.3 WAR, he's essentially been a 3 to 4 WAR player. And I jokingly say Starling Marte. I'm not talking about hitting profile by any means, but I'm talking about value. Starling Marte was a 4 WAR player year in, year out. And that's what Bryce Harper has been up until kind of recently. But even still today, he only has, I know this year was injury filled, and that's why it's only 2.4 WAR, but only has 2 seasons over 4.4 WAR.
The 1 year he had where he was that 9.3 WAR player, that was a Bonds-like season.
Yes. And that was the season was Trout or Harper. I mean, think about that.
Bryce Harper was unreal that year. He has not lived up to that really at all, aside from that 1 year. He was a good baseball player. He was a borderline all-star. A lot.
He's
where I'm
at. Shoe-in Hall of Famer.
because he was 19, maybe.
I mean,
the counting numbers will be
The
there.
the guy just needs to play baseball for the next 8 years, and he's in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't have to be like he just has to play. He's a Hall of Famer. Like
no,
yes,
I can't disagree with that more.
Pull up his baseball reference page, and tell me he's not a Hall of Famer.
The likelihood is he will
that.
be because he's at basically 44 WAR. He's 29 years old.
Most similar by age, 28. Barry Bonds, 29. Barry Bonds.
Yeah, but Barry Bonds played until he was like 73 years old.
But Barry Bonds
hitting 50 home runs at that age.
I'm just saying, the dude is he's as shoo-in of a Hall of Famer as there is right now.
I can't say he's a shoo-in.
No, he's not.
Yes.
Trout is a shoo-in.
He is.
Harper has to still do work.
No.
Harper has to do work. I'm just saying.
He has to just play. He just has to play.
Barry Bonds, to this point, but Barry Bonds had an elite age 30s seasons. We don't know what Harper's going to do.
I understand, but Barry Bonds was also a Hall of Famer before all that.
I don't think Harper's a Hall of Famer right now.
All right, well, you're wrong. So
I'm not.
I'm on Harper's side.
You're incorrect.
No.
And he has 44.2 WAR and he's played 10 seasons. He's a 4.2 WAR a season guy. That's a good baseball player.
No, if you do that over 20 years,
Brian Hayes had 3 WAR seasons being
that's what
ass.
Albert Pujols did. That's Albert Pujols.
Albert Pujols was the machine. You're talking about Albert Pujols from 20 to 30.
I'm talking about Albert Pujols over the course of his career averaged 4 wins a season.
Because his 30 to 40s was terrible.
It doesn't matter. It
does matter. It does matter.
He just needs
because his 20s and 30s were so elite and Harper was not elite. If Harper falls off, if Harper hits the other side of this mountain and starts falling off, he is not Hall of Famer. That's the problem.
No,
it wasn't elite enough in these 10 years. You don't look at these 10 years and say you're Hall of Famer. If Trout were to just fall off a cliff next year, he's a Hall of Famer because he was elite. Harper's been good.
He's a 2-time MVP.
Okay, because he had 2 elite seasons, All-Star. And after that, he's been Starling effing Marte.
How many 2-time MVPs aren't Hall of Famers?
Dick Groat.
Bryce Harper.
Barry Bonds.
Albert Pujols from age 21 to 30 never had a season under 6.8 WAR. Bryce Harper's only had 2 above 4.4. Do you see the difference?
I'm not telling you.
Pujols fell off a cliff, and because of that decade, he was just so damn good. He is a shoe-in Hall of Famer. Harper's nowhere near that.
He literally just has to play out his contract, and he's a Hall of Famer.
If he plays out his contract, he probably is, because that contract's for 18 more years.
It's not.
And he has a longevity, and if he plays it out, that means he was good enough to at least be a player.
The contract is for 8 more years.
Can't be. It's not been 5 years already. It was a 13-year, wasn't it?
It was through 2031. 8 more years.
The math is math in there, Donardo.
So he's going to play 8 more years, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
I mean,
oh damn it!
Neil
says the same people who say Arenado passes the eye test will vote Harper into the Hall of Fame. Exactly.
Jim, is Andrew McCutchen a Hall of Famer?
No.
Thank you.
Andrew McCutchen is also
great. This is a great
6 years older than Harper.
Okay.
Yeah, but through their age 30 season.
McCutchen was on No, he wasn't. No. Through age
Speak to us, Tyler.
Bryce Harper's 31.
Yeah. No, Bryce Harper's 30. He literally just turned 30 2 weeks ago.
I don't believe you're correct. I could be wrong.
He is.
Okay.
Well, then,
that is right. He is a year older than me.
This is age 29 season.
Let's just take a peek-sees here at Andrew McCutchen through the age 30. Oh, look at that. That was 2017, where like all his WAR was accumulated at a much faster pace than Bryce Harper.
2016 was McCutchen's age 29 season.
Yeah, age 29. I don't like those little arbitrary numbers.
Well, those are the numbers we're talking about.
I call them.
And McCutchen had 37 WAR through age 29 season.
Okay. He also didn't come up at 19.
He didn't, I know. But he also wasn't a 2-time MVP and 7-time All-Star.
Okay.
Oh, now we're naming All-Star.
Yeah, when it comes to Hall of Fame, that stuff matters. The stuff matters.
This is why the Hall of Fame is stupid.
It does, and that's also why it's stupid, because it's also dumb that, I mean, the fan voting, it's dumb that Fernando Tatis was an All-Star this year.
See, over here, Anthony knows ball right here.
Is Manny Machado a Hall of Famer?
And Manny Machado is a Hall of Famer, yeah. He is. Manny Machado just needs to play out his contract. He's in the Hall of Fame.
All right. Jim's Hall of Fame is just put everyone in.
Manny Machado one
of the best as long as you participate till you're like 38 years old, you get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. If you're called
it's a Hall of
longevity. Majors, if you're called up to the majors when you're 19 or 20 and you just hit the ground running like Harper did, like Machado did, like Trout did, like Soto did, those people are going to go to the Hall of Fame just because they're going to put up all the counting stats that allow
like Justin Upton.
Justin Upton.
Oh no! I'm sorry. What's that, Jim? He kind of hit the ground running.
Off a cliff.
I don't know.
Justin Upton fell off a cliff.
Oh, so that happens.
It does. Justin Upton fell off a cliff, though.
I mean, if he just, Justin Upton's going to be a Hall of Famer.
He fell off a cliff at age 26, and Justin Upton never had a season anywhere near like what Harper puts up.
I don't know. He was 19 and hit the ground running.
He had a 62 OPS at age 19, 107, 62 OPS plus, and age 20 at 107. So he never hit the ground running like Harper.
You have a bad argument.
I mean, do you want to? I'll give you whatever odds you want. I'll make a bet with you right now. Bryce Harper's Hall of Famer.
Like, I can't because he's Bryce Harper.
No matter get in because he's been Barry Bonds up to this point.
Great, but what is he going to be in the next decade? Because that solidified. And again, he's not.
He just needs to be a guy. He just needs to be a guy.
Well, Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame, so
actually, yeah, good point. So he's not a Hall of Famer.
Lawyered.
I'm done with that. Does anybody want to join this podcast?
Barry
Bonds put up like 2 WAR seasons before he was 30.
9.9, 9.6, 10.5 at age 28. Like once again, there's no comparison.
Well,
there's literally no
reference
comparison.
Actually says there is. So
Baseball Reference is also dumb. They must get their stuff from SIS.
Use Fangraphs, you nerd.
It's not close. Barry Bonds and if Barry Bonds listens to this podcast, which he probably is, he's disgraced right now. He should come through the screen and punch you right in the face, Jim, for even comparing Bryce Harper to Barry Bonds at this point.
Okay. When Bryce Harper is being inducted,
Bonds has more WAR at age 25 to 29 than
when Bryce Harper's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm going to make sure I let you guys remember this conversation.
Tyler will be dead by then, and we're probably not going to be friends. So I don't care. And I'm not saying he's not going to be. I am not saying that he will not be a Hall of Famer, and that's not the mountain
that's what you're saying.
Standing on. But what I'm saying is I am not giving that him right now. You say he is going to be, and I am not.
I would
not deserve that type of credit. I would say he is in.
If we're talking about people age 30, let's say age 30 and younger, who, if I had to make a bet, like who's going to be a Hall of Famer, less than age 30, Bryce Harper's number one. Bryce Harper's number one. Juan Soto's number two.
Just to put it here, Anthony asks, is Marte a Hall of Famer? No. Marte is a Hall of very good player.
Marte is also not getting in because he used steroids.
but he's not even going to be considered. He's just
Correct.
not, and he shouldn't, and that's fair. And I'm not using the Marte to Harper thing to say Harper sucks as well. Like, I understand the age differences, whatever, but I'm just saying, like, most of his career, his value has been Starling Marte-esque, and that's not Hall of Fame stuff. No, Connor, we are not friends now.
You're basically making like the Vinny Pirates bullpen argument, but opposite.
No,
Like if you take away Manny Banuelos's 4 worst relief appearances, he's actually a good pitcher.
Taking it away.
You're taking away Harper. No, you said outside Harper's.
That's
2
what
MVP
I'm getting
seasons,
at.
he's basically
Barry
Starling
Bonds
Marte.
consistently did that year in and year out. Albert Pujols did that year in and year out. Because Harper did it twice, I'm not going to compare him to 2 GOATs. Harper still has to produce over the next decade to get there.
Yeah.
Pujols had
He
it
just has to
locked
be
up.
there. He just
Trout
has
had
to-
it locked up. Bonds had it locked up. And the reason I had it locked up
Harper
is
just has
because
to-
they did what Harper did once for 8 years of that decade.
and the other part I think is that we're saying Harper did it twice. Harper did it once. He had another very good year. Barry
Which came
Bonds,
last year, and where
Yeah,
he wasn't
Barry
even an
Bonds
all-star because it
did
all
that.
came in the second half.
like
Again,
Albert
still
Pujols
all
and Barry
counts.
Bonds did that in
It
their
all
sleep.
counts.
Like a 6.6 WAR, they did that in their sleep.
Thank you. That's all it is. Harper's been a very good player, but this is why I say he's overrated, because people like Jim that are saying he's already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
For what? For being a very good player.
For winning 2 MVPs before he turns 29.
Great.
Yeah, and that's probably the last one to win because he's 30, and it's over. Turn the lights off.
He doesn't
Maybe he
have
just
to
wasn't
win anymore.
selfish.
That's the thing.
and-
He doesn't have to win anymore.
Maybe if he wasn't just selfish
He's a Hall
and
of
like,
Famer.
kept all his production in one year, right? And like helped out the team every single year. And this is true. Universal DH will give Harper a boost. He'll play until he's 40. I mean, there's that potential as long as he does continue to hit. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm just saying he still has stuff to prove. He's not in there. Trout is in.
Yeah.
Harper is not in the same universe as a Mike Trout.
No.
I didn't say he was.
You did by saying he's in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
Yeah.
Just because you're in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean you're in the same universe as Mike Trout. Like, Mike Trout deserves a whole other.
Okay.
You
You are comparing him to Barry Bonds.
I'm not
you
comparing him to Barry Bonds. Baseball references comparing.
And you're
him to
using
Barry
that for your argument to support it. So
I am.
therefore you're co-signing it, Jim.
I didn't co-sign it. I'm just saying I'm just relaying the information to you.
You're the worst. It says I might never watch baseball again after tonight. Connor's very nice Pirates off-season talk. This is the Pirates off-season talk.
Yes.
This is what happens when you don't have a show 5 minutes before the show.
You're welcome.
We talked about what we're going to do. We came together and this is what we're discussed, and then we haven't even discussed that at all.
Well, when you
This is
say
okay, Paul.
stupid things like Bryce Harper isn't a Hall of Famer, it's going to cause.
We're
This
not
was
saying he's not a
disgusting.
goddamn Hall of Famer. We're saying he's not a goddamn Hall of
That's
Famer
what
yet.
DiNardo's saying. That's what
No,
DiNardo's
we're
saying.
saying he's not a Hall of Famer right this second. If he retired today, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Okay, I agree with you. I just said he has to.
Then
he
what
has
the
to keep
hell are we
playing.
doing here?
I just said he has to keep playing. If
No,
he plays through his
because-
contract, he's a Hall
no.
of Famer.
No, he could be
Yeah.
terrible next year.
No, he just has to play. If
No.
he just plays, he's going to have like 600 home runs.
If he turns into Andrew McCutchen, his second half of his career, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
No,
Yeah.
he's not.
Yes.
You dumb.
He's going to end up with his counting stats are going to be through the roof.
So Andrew McCutchen is basically averaging about a 1.5 WAR season.
So if he averages 1.5 WAR over the next 8 years, that's 12 more WAR. He's in the Hall of Fame probably. 2-time MVP.
Cool. So then he's
He's
worse
going to
than
be
Kenny
he's
Lock.
going to be a
Awesome.
10-time All-Star.
So I'm sorry,
And that's
what was
also
that, Tyler?
not going to happen. That's also
Then he-
not going to happen. He's going to.
How do you know
season.
that?
Because he's really good.
So was
McCutcheon's
Angel
never
McCutcheon.
done, McCutcheon's never done anything that like Harper has before.
What are we
What?
doing here? What
McCutcheon's
the hell
best
are we
season
doing here?
was nowhere near Harper's best season.
What?
Just telling you.
This is nuts. This is asinine. All right, whatever.
What are we doing?
Let's move on.
I don't know. Let's move on. Okay, so what are we going to talk about this offseason for the Pirates?
How dumb Jim is.
That's been recognized right now.
Yeah, that's true. What a dumb.
I don't even know where to go. Like, my brain's fried right now. I don't even remember where we were going to take this. What questions do you guys have about the Pirates offseason? I guess we will answer those. Feed us, because I'm done. I have no more capacity.
Like,
here we go.
Bryce Harper does not put up 3, 4, 5 seasons back to back.
Anthony asks at the very beginning of our show, which Pirates pitchers will be negatively affected by rule changes, including defensive restrictions and pitch clocks? My answer, all of them. I think all of the pitchers will be negative.
I mean, like, what? That's a half-assed.
Well, no.
That's something I would expect from Brian. Like, there's no effort into that at all.
No, but for real, the new rule changes, I think, will help offenses. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, obviously, the shifting. The lack of shifting will allow more balls in play to become hits. So that's one. Number two, pitch clock means less time to recover between pitches, which means you probably lose a little bit of velocity, which also will then mean more hard contact against you. So I think it will negatively impact all pitching as a whole. Now, if you're asking me like which specific pitchers, I think relief pitchers get the brunt of the impact here. So hard throwing relievers are probably your most impacted players by these rule changes, I think. So luckily for the Pirates, they don't really have any like 100, 101, 102 mile an hour pitchers out there that other than Junior Fernandez, right? And who gives a shit, right? And the bullpen, as far as bullpen goes. But yeah, I think those are your guys impacted. So I guess Luis Ortiz, maybe, high velocity guy. Bednar could potentially be a guy who takes a step back. Yeah, those would be my two answers right there.
My biggest one is one to be discussed actually this season as well is Mitch Keller. That's where I worry. Like, and I'm not saying he's going to turn to a pumpkin next year, right? But adding that two-seamer and being able to get outs in the way that he was able to do when his stuff isn't on was a big improvement for him, and that's what made him effective. And he turned in a lot of double plays, got a lot of ground out pitches when he needed to. And what happens when those don't happen this upcoming season? And again, this isn't to say that he's going to turn into like a 6 ERA pitcher again, but I could certainly see him taking a step back. However, with that said, these rule changes affect everyone, like Jim says. So it doesn't mean like he's going to just become like he might take a step back, but so does the league, and that gap's not going to be tremendous. You know what I mean? In that sense, like he still could be a very good pitcher next year, but I could see it probably affecting him the most.
Keller's ground ball rate went up about 9% this year.
I feel like he got, I don't know what the numbers are, but I feel like he got a lot luckier on double play balls.
Yeah,
like he almost got them every single time they needed them.
So I really did. Mitch Keller's the first one that comes to mind, obviously, because of the two-seamer. I think you can throw JT Brubaker in that mix too. You didn't see the spike in the ground balls, but we saw that home run rate drop. He's another guy that switched to that two-seamer. The other thing I'm going to be interested just in general to watch is going to be O'Neal Cruz, the shortstop, playing the true like old school shortstop position, not being positioned differently. We might see that athleticism really flash there. but we also might see it hurt him a hair just because he's maybe not. We might see a spike in errors there because there's going to be a lot more ground to cover that he's probably not used to because the shift's been around pretty much since he was in the minors. Mm-hmm. So he's used to playing, right behind second base, moving the other side of the diamond. So I'm just more interested in watching that. I don't know what it's going to do to him. It could be good for him. Could be very bad.
So I agree with you. Answer to which pitcher is going to be highly affected is the shortstop.
No, I said I agree with Mitch Keller, and then I also said JT.
But your whole dialogue was about O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah,
Tyler's like, we haven't hit our Cruz quota yet on the show today, so let me just transition this to some Cruz talk.
All right, well then, if we're still going at it, I'm also very interested to see how it helps him at the plate.
So that I was getting to that. So I think Cruz in particular, because he hits the ball so hard on the ground to his pull side quite often, I'm really interested to see how like his batting average of balls in play goes up. Because like all those ground balls where there was a second baseman playing shallow right field, right? Those are singles now, whereas before they were 4-3 ground outs. And I'm also curious on like high contact guys. Like I said it before, this is why I think you keep somebody like Kevin Newman. Cause like, I want 1 year of like a sample size to just like see like what could Kevin Newman be if there's no shifting.
I just want to bring this up too. Anthony says, I think not standing on outfield grass has more impact than two guys on either side. Going to your Cruz thing as well. I think obviously not having two guys, but the grass thing. I mean, that ball's screaming down wherever it's being hit. And the closer you are O'Neal Cruz, the harder it is to get to the ball as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be impacting him as well. So yeah, on the hitting side as well, I'm very optimistic about O'Neal Cruz next year.
I am too. And to Anthony's point there, like he brings up, you need a rangier right fielder, but I feel like you also need a rangier second baseman. Like in the last decade or so, I feel like teams have kind of used second base as a spot to put, maybe slower guys who can hit a little bit more. And now those guys are going to have a lot more ground to cover because before you could just move them 15 feet into right field, right? And that created range for them, right? So
speaking of slower guys, the second base,
right?
Yeah, right. So like I think somebody like having somebody like Castro at second base, I think is going to be a big plus as to having somebody like Neil Walker, right? Like Neil Walker wouldn't be able to thrive as much in a no shifting environment, as opposed to somebody like Castro.
And if we're talking about all rule changes and we're just throwing pitchers out the window, everyone, again, going to O'Neal Cruz with the bigger bags, the stolen bases. I mean, we know stolen bases are going to definitely go up next year. Like the potential of what Cruz can do on the bags as well.
Well, I think the biggest thing with the base paths is the pickoff rules, right? So, being able to only throw over twice. If you throw over a third time and you don't get him out, it's a balk. That takes away a lot of your ability as a pitcher to hold runners on. So, yeah, I could see, like I said, not only the bigger bases, but, being able to lose that ability to just throw over 4 times. You can't do that anymore.
Really, you got one shot.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to want to screw up that second one.
I mean, if you throw over the second time, he's gone.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't screw it up because if he's still safe, well...
Yep.
I'm getting a giant lead.
Yes. I'm just walking to second base.
Yeah.
So as much as I hate the rule changes, I'm kind of excited, I guess, just to see what it does. We did see the minor league numbers really drop on game length. And that 20 minutes a game is a big deal. Like that's like a couple hours of your week.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, right. No, but I've attended a few minor league games over the past couple of years, and it's noticeable. Like, it's noticeable how much quicker the game's going.
I used to be so against it too.
Yeah.
But now I'm just getting old and curmudgeon, and I just want the game to end quicker.
Well, it's because you're watching Pirates baseball.
True.
Yeah.
But soon enough, that might be exciting to watch. You'll be, one of those 20 minutes to see.
Well, we'll see. And if
We'll
not,
see.
we get it to a post-game show 20 minutes quicker.
Which means we get the shell 20 minutes sooner.
Or Call of Duty, which I will be playing tomorrow. Not Jim.
Not Jim.
I might get Call of Duty. I might get that. I might get it.
I will be on.
Did it come out today?
I believe tomorrow, 28th.
Okay.
So in 2
So
hours.
midnight.
Yeah, I'll be sleeping.
So if there's any more questions, we'll take those. But yeah,
what's
I don't know,
amazing,
man.
We're almost
Oh,
at
go
an
ahead.
hour. We're almost at an hour, and we
40
came into
minutes
this
of-
with nothing to talk about.
Told
Bryce
you, we'll be
Harper
fine.
lies. We'll do that. We all know zero. That's why we need 2 more people.
That's absolutely correct.
We need 2 more people because doing a post-game show 162 times is just mentally defeating.
And we
When
didn't even
your
do it
team's-
162 times. We
when your
started
team's
it
Yeah.
in June, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only had like 2/3 of the season this year.
It was a grind. Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about them 120 times this year after every game.
So we have something from Neil. So
Yeah.
Neil says more major league innings in 2023. Mike Burrows, Quinn Priester, Heath Hembree. Well, not the last one.
I feel like it's gonna
Technically,
be-
he was finished with the Dodgers, but I don't think there's going to be a reunion between him and the Pirates this upcoming year. So I guess it comes down to Priester or Burrows.
Well, Hembree could pitch for another team.
I'm saying I don't.
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's not technically. Oh, okay. So not with the Pirates in general, just
Yeah.
who has more major league innings. Okay.
More major league innings.
I would
Fair.
lean Burrows there.
I would lean Priester.
I'm now going to lean Hembree.
No, I do think it'll be Burrows, though. I think he gets the first shot there because he's not the prize prospect. So he's probably the first one up.
I feel he's closer. I'm with Tyler that I feel like if there's going to be the first guy called up, it's probably him. I just don't know how they're both going to be used because as
Terribly.
we talked about with this rotation heading into this season, you have JT, you got Mitch, there's Rowansy. You're probably looking at another
Ortiz.
veteran. Ortiz is there. Like, I don't know how the innings will be split up. I think it'll be, even though he's the first, I think it could be pretty even at the end of the year. And I'm
Here's
sticking
the
with
thing
Hembree.
the one thing with Burrows you got to kind of keep in mind is like, yeah, he had more time in AAA, but he didn't really look good either. So whereas Priester did, I don't know. I actually think Priester's like the more polished pitcher right now, from a terms of major league repertoire, and like if you needed somebody to pitch one game right now and you had to choose between Priester and Burrows, I would go Priester. Which makes me think I think Priester's called up first.
But let me present this too, because with this question, so like think about this past year, Rowansy fit the mold of Priester, but Rowansy was in a dire need. There was nobody to call up other than Rowansy at that point in
Right.
time. That's how he got the early, call up. And I think the Pirates are going to be in a very, very different situation this year. That neither of those good guys going to be touched before June. Is that also
Right.
fair to say?
I think that's fair because you have people like Oviedo, right, to start games if you need to, or who knows what they're going to do with like Ortiz. I would imagine he starts in the rotation, but I don't know.
He also could be an Indy.
Right. So I don't know. I think Priester has a better chance of coming up in June and sticking in the rotation the entire year.
That might be a fair way to look at it. Yeah, you could be right there, Jim, with him coming up there in June after the Super 2, which will be stupid again. And I'm sure we'll discuss it nonstop about how he shouldn't wait till June. But yeah, he could be the first arm up if everything goes well with him in AAA. Burroughs could be a guy that's up for a game, then down, then up for a game, then down.
I could see that. I can see either. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think they'll both would be close at the end of the year, though.
As much as I hate to say it, there are some arms to be excited about. We're almost to that point.
It's okay. You don't have to hate to say it.
I don't like being positive.
I know, but the difference, though, Tyler, is you're not here saying that, well, once those guys come up, this team is a wild card team because, they got pretty Burroughs. Like, you're not saying stupid things. You can be optimistic, and that's fair because there are some exciting arms. There's reason to be optimistic. We talked about Burroughs. You see Ortiz. There is Priester. There's talent. We don't know how it's going to translate, but there's things you want to see, and it's coming, and you can be optimistic about it. You're just not being a dum-dum and saying that, oh, you know what? This team's going to do damage next year if you focus on some pitching.
I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really, though, you look at it, you got Keller, you got Contreras, you got Ortiz, you got Burroughs, you got Priester. There's some stuff to finally work with at the upper level. It's been a long time of not working with much, of clinging to a Bryce Wilson figuring it out, or a Zach Thompson coming back from some mirage of a season.
And we talk about how Castro can change the dynamic of things because he can be that guy came out of nowhere. That's what Luis Ortiz presents as well. We saw to him, and now maybe he's something else. That's why you have this excitement. You're not relying on Burroughs and Priester, and they have to turn out. You also have Ortiz here, and maybe Oviedo. I know we're all he's the bullpen role type of guy, but you're going to give him an opportunity. He still has some exciting things to him. Probably a bullpen guy, but there's talent there. And you didn't have talent with Zach Thompson. You didn't have talent with Bryce Wilson. These guys have talent.
Realistic time frame, we will see Termarr Johnson. My guess there, if everything goes right, June of 2025, probably. If everything goes right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Who's going to be the GM that calls him up? Let's add another wrinkle to that question.
It'll be Ben Cherington.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it'll be Cherington. I don't want it to be Cherington.
I mean, Ben Cherington's not getting fired in the next 2 years.
He could. I think the safe play to say he's not.
Yeah.
But
can you imagine if it's 2 years from now and we're still doing this? Talking about this bad team. And Ben Cherington's still the GM.
I don't know how true. Okay. I have a viewpoint and a theory. Okay. You keep hearing, and again, there's smoke, there's usually fire. But you keep hearing Nutting is the main reason that Reynolds is here, if anything. I don't know if Cherington even wants to trade him or not, but Nutting is just we are not trading Reynolds. He's a star. He's Pittsburgh. He's here. We can disagree on why he's still here if they're going this trajectory. But what if this team still keeps punting and they're not good? And now Brian Reynolds is in his last year and they haven't been able to have Reynolds in a winning season. Does Nutting at that point in time just get upset and you can Cherington? And things have to go wrong. I know we are down on the rebuild, but it's not as if it's a total disaster and you just see this is nothing's going to come from this. like they'll be good enough in 2 years regardless. I feel
they will be better
how
than they
good
are
enough
now.
Will they be at that point in time with Brian Reynolds still on the team, and Nutting just says this was a whole disaster, and says you're gone.
I think my thing though is like, if the team shows any sort of improvement though in the next 2 years, Cherington will still be here. Now, if the next 2 years we're still looking at back-to-back 100-loss teams, then maybe there's a chance. But I don't even see that as being
2 years from now you're a 90-loss team.
I think 2 years from now you're a 90-loss team. You're like, we're making progress.
And Reynolds
Nutting things.
And Reynolds isn't signed to an extension.
Team's getting better.
If they're a 90-loss team in 2 years, I might go ape shit.
But I think that's where it's at. Like, I feel like if they are a 90-loss team in 2 years and Reynolds doesn't sign an extension and he's just still there wasting away, I think that is that point. I know people don't come at me saying, the Nutting apologist or whatever. And listen, he doesn't talk at all, but he did talk a little bit at the last regime. And I don't know how true it is, but he made it a point to say he's tired of seeing all these guys go elsewhere and succeed. Like, he's tired of seeing this stuff. And again, hearing that he's kind of heading like, I want Brian Reynolds to be here, probably doesn't want to see Brian Reynolds go anywhere else. And I just kind of feel like if this team isn't, he might have that fire in him to finally do something where he didn't have I think a lot of us were surprised that Neil Huntington even was fired.
It was his time to go. Like,
but
just
keep it going.
It was like pulling teeth getting him fired though.
Yeah. I would be very surprised if in 2025, if Ben Cherington's not the GM.
I think if they're still a 90-loss team after 2024, it's very possible he's gone.
That's kind of where I'm at. And I do think it's going to be hard to be a 90-loss team at the end of that season, even with the way this rebuild's going and such. But if they are, I just feel like this has been a failure. Like, this has been a failure. And I need someone who's not going to be a failure.
Especially if they're not showing like any signs of life. It's not a collapse like 2012, which probably saved Neil Huntington his job, or they at least showed something. If it's just a 90-loss team that slightly got better and all these prospects are not panning out, but they're just slightly better than what they have, I think it's very possible he's gone. 90-loss teams come in many different ways.
That's fair. You can be a 90-loss team, and like the Giants, I can't remember if they were 90-loss at the point, but they underperformed very, very badly. So I guess that's also kind of fair.
81-81.
What, the Giants?
The Giants.
I'm talking about like some years ago, though.
Oh.
In their whole mix of going to the World Series and then not.
Yeah,
gotcha.
There was one year I felt like they really, really underperformed. It might be 3 or 4 years ago.
It could be a smart owner would probably fire Cherington and hire someone that wants to go sell off prospects to go for a win. All right, you accumulated them. Get the hell out of here. Let me bring in someone that's going to take us to the finish line.
Like Dombrowski?
Could
you imagine if Cherington got fired and replaced with Dombrowski again?
And Dombrowski just makes like 2 or 3 moves and boom, the Pirates win the World Series.
Flags fly forever.
Oh, that would be funny. That would be funny. And I agree with Anthony. Andy Rodriguez is already deserving of the Hall of Fame as well.
Absolutely.
Up to this point of his career, he's been Bryce Harper too.
He's probably hit way better than Bryce. He has hit way better than Bryce Harper in the minors. So,
yes, correct. Which means he's also Barry Bonds. Two the most infamous hitters in baseball history. Barry Bonds from the Pirates. Barry Bonds and Andy Rodriguez.
Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper had a
We've talked more
941
about the 2024 offseason than we did the 2022 offseason.
Bryce Harper had a 941 OPS in the minors.
So not as good as Endy.
Yeah. And he had
This
that
year.
whole like phase where he had to get contacts or something. I don't remember. Couldn't see the ball. Did Jim flip me off?
No.
Okay.
I should, though.
Phil says this organization will never chase free agents, so unfortunately the Pirates must build from the ground up. That is what the Pirates must do no matter who the GM is. I mean, I do agree to that to an extent.
Mm.
I mean, you have to get free agents, though.
They need to establish a core. Right. I mean, they need to have a core group of players, but you do need help from the outside. I mean, you look when the Pirates had those good years, 2013, 2014, 2015. They had Andrew McCutchen, they had Garrett Cole, they had Starling Marte, they had Jordy Mercer, on those teams was part of those, but they also had Russell Martin and Cervelli and
Burnett and Liriano
Volquez. They had a lot of guys come in.
The entire bullpen
that they had to supplement those core guys with. And without those outside free agents, they would not have been as good as they were. So it takes a little bit of both. Like they've got to hit on free agents when they go that route, but they also need to develop some homegrown talent for sure.
And that's the thing we keep talking and going back to too is like they hit well on the free agents, and that was a point in time where like the Pirates were praised for their scouting and analytics, being the forefront of things. They saw things. They saw what Russell Martin was when he was just an outcast for the Yankees. They saw what AJ Burnett could be when he was an outcast for the Yankees and such. Like they saw these guys at Target. They brought them in for very cheap deals, and we just don't know if the Pirates had that in them going forward as well.
That entire team was not built on any of Neil Huntington's drafting. It was Garrett Cole, Pedro Alvarez.
Garrett Cole, Pedro, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, like a small market team like the Pirates, you're going to have to build a core this way, but you do have to supplement it because there's no way you're going to find 26 players all from internal methods and they all hit and be good, So you are going to have to supplement it. And I think that's some of the things, too, like we talk about. Like Andrew McCutchen was a star, and we're hoping O'Neill Cruz can be and such. But like this rebuild seems to lack star quality. Like there is no Garrett Cole as far as your ace goes. Like Roansy will never be a Garrett Cole. Keller will never be a Prinster. Like none of those guys will ever be those. Like there's probably, we hope O'Neill Cruz will be, but the chances are he's probably not going to be an Andrew McCutchen. He might be a Bryce Harper, and that would be good. But he'll never be an Andrew McCutchen.
No, I agree with you. It's they really don't have that star power aside from O'Neill. But we've talked about it at length about O'Neill possibly being just raw talent, the most talent in baseball.
Yes.
But aside from him, there's not another guy. Henry Davis is probably a good Major League Baseball player. Quinn Priester's probably a good Major League pitcher. Roansy's probably a good Major League pitcher. There's not an ace. And aside from O'Neill, which is super boomer bust, there's not another guy waiting in the wings to do that.
I think like the best way to put O'Neill Cruz in NFL terms, like at the very worst of what O'Neill Cruz is and what he presents is he's number 4 picked in the NFL draft going to an Al Davis Oakland Raiders. Because that's what he is. Like the tools, everything is just every player that went to the Raiders, right? It's just like the most exciting player in the draft. They didn't all work out, but like that's what O'Neill Cruz is. You're just hoping that he will work out as well.
Now I want to see O'Neill Cruz play football. Like as a
I want to see him do everything. I know you probably don't remember, Tyler, because you just turned 30 the other day. But do you remember back in the day when they had like all those different athletes doing all those different stuff? Like they had like the dunk contest, like Deion Sanders, and like I would just love that to come back and see O'Neill Cruz do all these different sports.
Anthony does bring up a good point about Endy. I always forget about him. Endy could be really good.
I think Endy could be really good too.
He might be the best prospect in this organization.
Now, O'Neal Cruz, though. O'Neal Cruz is going to win an MVP before he leaves Pittsburgh.
And then he's going to be a Hall of Famer, according to Jim.
He already is.
As soon as he wins one.
Well, yeah, O'Neal Cruz is going to
look up
win
his
MVP.
Baseball Reference page right now.
I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer, but O'Neal Cruz is going to put together a season that's completely ridiculous at some point in the next 4 years.
With what
it's going to be a 10-war season. Calling it.
With what team? The Yankees.
The Pirates. They're going to give him a Wander deal. He's going to be a Pirate for life.
Jim is feeling very optimistic tonight. I do feel bad that I always forget about Endy. I don't know how I do. I just forget he exists.
It's not that I forget, but I'm not ready to go there with him yet as far as a superstar. I'm comfortable saying he could be a very good player at this point. But I'm not ready to put him in Kutch because, this year was great, but it was this year. I guess that's kind of why.
He's a really good hitter. He can just
he is
flat out.
I know.
The things he has done in the minors has not really been done by a Pirates minor leaguer.
Yeah.
I'm just not ready to go there yet. That's all.
All right.
It's fine.
MLB pipeline over here.
This org needs Cy Young winners with an S.
I don't think we have any of those. I don't think we have any of those in the organization, unfortunately.
No. But they didn't beforehand. I don't think they need Cy Young winners, but something of course they do lack is
the guys who look at it. Though, here's the deal: if you want to win playoff series and you want to win a championship, you do need a bona fide ace and a really good number two who are both up there in the conversation for Cy Youngs.
Why were the Pirates bounced every time?
Didn't have one of them.
Well, they had one in 2015, and he was off that one game.
Well, he also kind of just fell apart the back half of that season,
but even regardless,
Jim says it all the time though. A good team can get by with 5 Mitch Kellers. You're not winning a playoff series.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know if you need Cy Young winners, but you need Cy Young contenders. You need 2.
Yeah, I'm with it. And so Anthony asked this question on Twitter. Not really asked a question, but how do the Pirates emulate the Astros and such? And I feel for one, the Astros were on the forefront. They saw something. It might have been cheating. They saw, but they saw something. They targeted pitchers. They acquired the one thing about the Astros is really they didn't develop pitching. All the pitching really came from the outside for the most part. That's what got them there. Today, though, is completely different.
Yeah.
Outside of Verlander, who they made a shiesty-ass trade for because none of those guys at the Tigers got turned into anything. But then they did, of course, re-sign him. Pirates, I don't think are going to pony up $33 million a year type of money to a guy for that. But you look at the guys now, in that rotation, Jim, you talk about all of them. All of them are international free agents. All of them. And that's the one thing, too. You talk about international, it's mainly hitters, right? Usually, you don't find too many pitching. All the Astros, for the most part, the pitching, all developed internally, all international free agency. That's what they came. They developed now. And so, that's a team that's a large market can spend money. Pirates, you figure, aren't going to go and do that, but they have to develop pitching. They absolutely have to.
Yeah. And like I said, the Astros have that one obvious ace, right? They're Cy Young winner, right, with Verlander. And then they've got a really good number 2 in Valdez. And I feel like their number 2 kind of switches around from year to year, but they have the budget where they can kind of make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean. The Pirates, in order to develop a pitching staff like the Astros, you need to have that ace, like that ace, and we just don't have that yet. Like, you can call Contreras an ace all you want, but like Contreras and Verlander aren't in the same stratosphere.
And I'm very comfortable saying they never will. And that's just what it is. And Roansy's a good pitcher, and you can be excited for that. But he's not that guy.
He's not Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander is a walking 6'4" pitcher just by going out there every year. And when he's really good, he's higher than that.
And if the Pirates want to get to that level, there's nobody really in the minors, I don't think, that are going to be that really good ace caliber guy. They almost have to get lucky again with a Liriano type of signing. Because Liriano, when he was at his best there in 2013, was lights out. They essentially need to get lucky in that kind of deal. Because they're not going to go trade for a Verlander type of guy that has a big contract. They're never going to be that team.
The other option too is, if you land, so the lottery is gonna, I don't know exactly when that is. I think it's in December when they do the draft lottery, right? You land number 1 overall pick and you draft a clear cut ace, right? First overall or second overall. I don't know what next year's college class is going to look like, but like if there's a college ace out there, like maybe you go with that, and you've got somebody you can kind of fast track to the majors like Garrett Cole was.
Yeah, that speeds it up a whole lot.
That helps if there's a guy like that available.
Right.
The other option I was going to get to as well, and it goes with Justin Verlander. You're not going to be able to sign a guy. You're not going to go out there and go and sign Justin Verlander. But like, as I just mentioned, the Astros gave up nothing. Nothing that the Astros traded for has done anything basically in the majors, except for like the one catcher who's really done nothing in the majors for the Detroit Tigers. So I guess like what I'm getting at is another possible way they can do this is they enter the season with, in the words you put it, like the 5 Mitch colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the trade deadline comes up, and then they target that ace to get them through the playoffs. That's the way they could. And like, if there's one thing that Ben Cherington has done, he has collected prospect capital. They are going to have to make trades, and by no means we're saying like this is going to happen this year, next year, right? Like, there's no point of adding a Justin Verlander to the trade deadline this upcoming years, but that's also a way of doing it that the Pirates can get that guy without having to really give up much to get that guy, whether it's financial money or trade capital for controllable guys for that length of time.
No, that's a good point. You look at, say, like if the Brewers all of a sudden start being terrible, right? And it's 2024 and you're in the playoff hunt and you trade prospects for a year and a half of Corbin Burns.
Right.
Like that's the play, right? Because they can't go out there and sign a free agent.
And again, like what I'm going to is impossible, just the half year. Like it could just be like it's that year that you got it.
Yeah.
Think about like David Price.
Exactly.
The Pirates didn't get it. But like if the Pirates went and got the David Price, like that's the guy that they never had. And that's a way of you could potentially doing it. And I know like in the Astros sense, they didn't give up much, and you might end up, but it's like, is it worth getting David Price at that point in time? You don't have that. Like Jim says, you need it. That's a way that they could potentially do it, right? The year that they feel like it's strong, it's good, they open up the trade, the prospect wallet, whatever you want to call it, and they go and get that guy, that Verlander of that year for the half season and make that deal.
Even the Brewers going back to CC, where they just threw the hell out of him.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Oh my God, they
threw the hell out of him. It was every 4 days.
They have a season. They got a year and a half worth of value out of him.
But no, that's
offensively too.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's probably the way that you go about it. Is build a solid team, right? Be in contention around the deadline, and then make a move for that ace. because you're going to have teams selling off.
And
Especially
that's where like the depth of the organization will come into play.
Yeah.
And that's especially the way the trade deadline's gone, where you're not giving up that top flight talent to
That's
get
true.
that rental
Completely.
ace. You know, even in the David Price days, it was different. It was different with CC, absolutely. Now, I mean, what are you giving up? Your fifth best prospect for half a year of an ace?
Yeah, it's definitely different now.
Yep. And again, like if your farm's deep enough, that number 5 won't sting. It's worth it. When you're when you're a team that doesn't have a deep farm, that might sting because you might not have that prospect next year to make that trade again or whatever. Where the Pirates could essentially do that.
Well, and depending too on like if you're dealing from a position of strength, right? Like if this year if the Pirates were good, like let's just play pretend and the Pirates were good this year, like would you feel comfortable trading Peguero for 2 months of an ace? Probably.
That's fair. Depending where you stand. If that's what you feel is going to get you over the hump, it might sting. But was it worth it?
Yeah. So, no, I think I think that's the move.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good point too. But yeah, Dodgers have only traded low-level guys who have turned into Yordan Alvarez and O'Neill Cruz. Like, imagine that as well. The Dodgers, holy hell.
Dodgers don't care.
Well, they also can afford.
The Dodgers don't care that they traded those two guys.
The Dodgers also got Tony Watson for O'Neill Cruz. Like, if you're giving me like a Justin Verlander for O'Neill Cruz and I get a World Series out of it, oh well.
Right. Oh well.
It just, again, though, they have some of the best.
Yeah.
Everything. They're just, they're top tier, except for
They're
getting into the World Series.
Very well-oiled.
Jim said it well. They don't care. They're doing fine.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll just sign him in 6 years.
Right. If they want him, they'll just get him. They'll just take him. Like they're going to do Aaron Judge. They're just going to sign Aaron Judge this offseason.
We'll see. Well, guys.
Are we done?
Yeah, let's be done.
It's been an
Did
hour
we
and a
even
half.
talk about the 2023 offseason? I felt like we talked more about 2024, 2025.
We got an entire
Bryce
offseason.
Harper.
We'll talk about the offseason later. The season's still going on, so nothing can really happen yet.
So I guess once again, to wrap this up before we do go, yes, if you're interested in joining North Shore 9, reach out to us. We are looking. We'll announce what we're doing here soon and let everyone who's reached out to us know what we're doing as well. But yeah, so I guess that's it. So I really appreciate everyone for watching and listening for a show that we had no idea what we were doing. Hour and 28 minutes. We're the best.
All right.
Can I go to bed?
Except for Jim. He's a dum-dum. All right, we're out. See you later. Bye-bye.
Scouts.
See you guys.